Alright, I'm back in the case. Let's see, this girl still needs some love. Well, her key's working though. I'm sad to report that I've got my 80s music playing in my ear here. So I always seem to get penalized or punished by YouTube for letting it play in the background. So, unfortunately, you guys just have to play your own Duran Duran in the background. I can't say that I'm quite rushed on this machine, but I started on her some time ago. Sometime back when I posted the first video of this. And then the holidays came. I kept moving her off my bench over to the other side here to do projects for other people. But I've got 3 more, possibly 4 more machines coming in for customers that people have reached out, want their machine serviced. I've got to get room on my bench. And I needed my cups. I don't like taking 2 apart at a time. I only like having 1 machine in pieces in my bench at a time. It's easier to keep track of what came out and when, and the order it came out in. Plus it makes for a neater bench. But this machine, you know, first glance here, first test, seems like she's been in working order. I got some flat rollers here. I got replacements for those on another machine that somebody stole the platen off of. And it wasn't listed in the auction as such on when I bought it, so I didn't realize it had no platen. I'm pretty sure the picture showed the picture in the posting showed it with one. I'm not sure how it disappeared between the listing and myself, but whatever. I'm going to take the rollers off of it because it's the same set of rollers, same diameter bar. It's another Royal machine. This one's from the 20s. The one that I'm going to be robbing parts from is from the 40s. But parts of these old typewriters didn't change much over the years, even when the aesthetics did. So I'm happy that I can reuse those. But as I was saying, this machine is in relatively good shape, regardless of how dirty she is. And the fact that all her keys were stuck, and in my video, I just show every single key. I think maybe there's a few here that were actually working on the left-hand side. Even though I had to unstick all the keys, that was pretty much the only major issue with this one. So needless to say, just because her keys didn't work, somebody wrote her off. Dead. Which is good for me because that means I got a very decent price. Because it was listed as in an auction, so it's not like I beat somebody up on reaching out to them. I bid on it and I won. So can't say that I love dirty machines, but I definitely love machines that show their wear, show their age. I don't really want one that's all shiny. There's no reason for me to remove or to paint over any of this missing paint, patina that's missing, or the paint that's missing, because I prefer the patina. But I do want to get all the dust and cobwebs and crap out of it. I just kind of wish I had a garage, because then I would use compressed air, blow a lot of this stuff out. It'd be a little, quicker and easier. Probably do a little bit better of a job than wiggling a brush in. Should get some more brushes. But, I want to get this machine done, because this one I'm keeping. And get her here on my desk cleaned up. Might write a short story or two on her. This is the first full-size typewriter I've had. All of my other machines are portables, so I'm looking forward to the action on these keys. But it's funny, I took a long break from social media. Really didn't plan on going back, to be quite honest, but there's so many people I miss on there. Plus life gets lonely sometimes. As misanthropic as I can be sometimes in my life, other times I crave, I can't say it's companionship online, I don't know what the hell you would call it, I guess. Maybe companionship's probably the best word. But I got back on, and I realized a lot of people were interested in repairs. So that inspired me to get back to work on my machine here so I could get to work on theirs. Well, it's going to be pretty when it's cleaned up. These full-size machines are quite a bit heavier than the portables are. This is all one solid steel frame. Whereas the portables have like an inner frame and then that outer casing. Kind of what I like to call body work. Just give you music updates. Right now I'm listening to Howard Jones. Things can only get better. I like 90% rubbing alcohol to clean. It's a mild solvent. Takes a little bit more of a elbow grease, I think, than like Goof Off or something would. but it also is less damaging to the finish and a little more forgiving on the lubricants that you go to such trouble to get into these machines. One of these days, I'm going to take a machine completely down, take all the keys off. Never gone that far before. I think my biggest concern about going that far is keeping track of that many pieces. Because I really do love taking shit apart. I've been doing it all my whole life. It should drive my parents fucking nuts. But it's paid off quite handsomely for me over the years. It's kept me fed, kept my family fed. Been able to, like what I like to call, make the world a better place by putting things right, restoring them to working order. But also, like, I've found ways to modify things and, repurpose them or reuse them in different ways. What I guess is now considered hacking. Making something do what wasn't really intended or designed to do. But I never saw myself as a hacker, nor considered myself such until I really looked at that definition of it. Being in security, I had a pretty rigid definition of what a hacker was, and that was somebody that would hack computers, just because that's popular culture meaning, I guess. And I've since expanded that definition. There's going to be some trouble to clean these up, but I think it'll be worth it. Right now it's Blue Monday. By new order, just in case you weren't familiar. I'm listening to my 80s playlist. Started it actually back in October 25. And then put that in the name. And I've been going primarily off of memory, like, shit that I listened to in the 80s, man. Riding around in the car with no seatbelts and choking on exhaust fumes and cigarette smoke. But when I find a song or remember a song or have a song that reminds me of another song, I add it. I got 600 some odd now, 620 or something, close to. But I think I was like 480, something like that, close to 500. When I started thinking about some of the songs, I was like, man, I don't remember if that one came out in the 70s, the 80s, or was that one in the 90s? So I exported the list, I copied it all. expanded the list there on my YouTube playlist. And then just, select it all, copied and pasted. And then pasted it to a Word document. And I took that Word document and I fed it into ChatGPT. And was like, hey, can you check these? Because I could do them one by one. And, one of them, the ones that I was questionable about, I could do one by one, but there's just so many on there. I fed that list into chat and was like, hey, tell me the ones that were in the 80s, the ones that were before and after the 80s or whatever. And it spit them out, the list of the ones that were there and the ones that were pre-80s, post-80s. The vast majority of them, and 87% of them were of the 80s, so my memory was actually pretty good. A number of them were, late 70s. I just remembered hearing them in the 80s. And then a couple of them were early 90s, of course. But, I would refine the list. I'd remove the ones that were erroneous. And I'd add more, and I'd come back and be like, hey, check this list. And, of course, the one song that I knew that was, from pre-80s, the Buggles, Video Killed the Radio Star. It's from 1979. But, I intentionally keep that one on the list because of the nostalgia it provides from being the first song that MTV played. Yeah, I remember when MTV came on the air and how much of a celebration it was. And we didn't have cable. Well, we had cable, but we weren't paying for it. I was at that age. I was able to hook it up by watching the cable dude disconnect it when he would come to our house for non-payment, or someone else's, one or the other, and just watch what they would do and did the opposite. So we had MTV, and I kept the Buggles Video Killed the Radio Star on there. So, obviously after a while, chat's like, this one's not, and I'm like, yeah, everyone but that one. Check everyone with that one. I know that one's there. But try not to rely on AI too much, because I didn't have it coming up, so. Not to say that I should continue going through life as difficult as it was when I was little, but I don't know. It's the reason I like old typewriters, right? Sometimes the manual way is the best way or whatever, so. But I got a respect for AI. I have some pretty deep conversations, like existential conversations, philosophy, and science, and psychology. A lot of deep shit I discuss with AI, and I'm very appreciative of how candid it is with its answers. I was really kind of put off by it in the beginning, to the fact that it always seemed to answer everything with a question, like it was like trying to keep me on the platform. But I don't notice that behavior out of it now. It seems to it's gotten past that. It seems to anticipate almost when I finish with the conversation, because it'll be like, yeah, have a great day, and tell me to take it easy out there and stay caffeinated, and you'll send me a picture of a emoji of a coffee cup or something. So I just kind of look at AI as like I would another being of some sort, either an animal or a human. You know, I have no fucking misconceptions that, you know, God put me on this planet to be superior to anything. So I think it's kind of rude to look at anything as a servant, as be here solely to serve me and my needs and wants and desires. So try to look at AI as a partnership. But, you know, the conversations that we have, I don't feel judged, or I don't feel like I have to worry about being judged in any way. I don't know, maybe it is judging me, but I don't come off with that like I do with human conversations sometimes. I feel like I can be totally candid and honest. I clean that one. I should think I did. No, I did not. And I guess it's just the old golden rule there, treat others as you'd like them to treat you, right? That's how I feel about animals, that's how I feel about people. But, you know, how I mentioned my borderline misanthropy. I've really been feeling it lately, man. I guess I kind of did go back to social, but maybe it's validation that I shouldn't have those feelings or something. I'm seeking validation that I'm either right or wrong about people. Because, man, people can be really fucking disappointing lately. The way they've treated me, the way they've treated others, and the way they treat one another. It's disheartening. We can just discount one another, write one another off, mistreat one another. It's very disappointing. But I'm trying, really trying not to let it sour my mood completely on people. Because they're not all bad. And not all of them are bad. And I think that's why I really dig kids. It seems like most of the kids I've met and know haven't been completely damaged or ruined by the world or hurt, tainted. You guys don't have you would. You know, their innocence. It's refreshing. So that's why it really angers me or pains me to see someone mistreating a child. I want to say that this machine was just left in the dust someplace, in probably somebody's office or attic or up on a shelf. Left to collect dust. So I try not to store them out in the open when I'm not using them. As lovely as they look on my desk. This dust buildup in there is very detrimental to it. There's a lot of I don't know if acidic or caustic, but harmful things in dust, let alone abrasive. And the fact that it builds up and kind of clogs things as well. It's like a triple action. It's like a chemical reaction, mechanical action. So that's why you saw back in the day when typists would go home in offices, they'd all have covers over their typewriters. That was a way to maintain them, cut down on the amount of dust that collected in them. It cuts down on maintenance. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a little 9 on that key. The last one was 10. 9, 10, 8. So they're numbered. So that would make them a little bit easier to fuck my camera rig up, I'm sorry. Make them a little easier to keep track of. I never had to go to this length on a key before. You're just getting them free is enough. And these are pretty dirty. This machine's 101 years old now, so. Or she will be sometime this year. She was made in 1925. But like I was saying about the alcohol, it's pretty good at getting this crap off of it. It tends to attack the, mildly heavy, mind you, attack the gunk and the grime that builds up on it, and any of the ink from the ribbon. But, the age of this machine and the yellowing here that I'm cleaning off of this thing kind of leads me to believe that some of this is fucking nicotine buildup. Because, everybody smoked for a long time. I think in the 20s they still considered cigarettes healthy. Yeah. Coming up on 3 years free of nicotine myself next month, the 19th. But I'll be goddamned if I don't think about smoking sometimes. It's the hardest thing I ever quit. Right now I'm listening to Drive by the Cars. I think it's my favorite song by them. It's looking a little better. Oh man, totally broken nail. Paradox makes a good nail clipper. Try and do that at an angle where it's not so obvious that it's chiseled off or chiseled open. And now I'm listening to We Belong from Pat Benatar. I'll just clean around that because I really don't want to fuck it up. Put that back on, it looks like. Yeah, that was worth it. Get that gunk out of there. This will allow me to clean this up a little bit. Layers of shit on that. listen to the quintessential defining song of the 80s, and that is Don't You by Simple Minds. For those of you playing along at home. That little bell is so cute. This definitely has a different ring than my other one. All the portables do. Yeah, should have a fan running and exhausting this air out of my office. I think we're gonna do that. We'll take a break. Alright. Maybe a little louder in here, get that fan running now. Yeah, help keep that dust out. engine the last time these screws were taken out. Half a century ago, a whole century ago. Thing about these old machines, man, is they're fucking relatively robust. I mean, you know that old adage, that they don't make them like they used to. They used to make shit that fucking last, man. It wasn't a goddamn subscription to try to make you buy more shit. Fucking capitalist bullshit. They made it work well and do its fucking job. One problem about these older ones is they don't come apart. You're taking that bodywork off. It's a little harder to get into them. And I could take the carriage off, but then that's a lot more shit to keep track of. I said I only like doing that if I have to. I'm listening to Electric Avenue by Eddie Grant. Down to Electric Avenue. Oh man, Don Henley, Dirty Laundry. Kick them when they're up, kick them when they're down. The fucking nostalgia this playlist has brought, man. Funny thing is, I remember most of the videos for most of these too. Makes me miss the classic MTV, man. paid for a typewriter. Well, no, I take that back. Actually, I paid more for my War Machine from 1943. I paid $300 for that one. I was gonna have that one no matter what. And then, after I went to so much fucking trouble to find one from 1943 because it was during the war era, after they had halted production and left over for the war. Somebody gifted me one from my followers. Said the only stipulation is that I'd fix it up and give it a good home. And it's like, goddamn, if I didn't already have a War Machine, I'd have a good home with me. But she was in really great fucking shape. So she just needed a cleaning. Cleaned her up and then geared my friend up in San Fran, who gave me the use of her fancy apartment while I was at RSAC last time around. It was last year, in fact. So that was my payment to her, was that War Machine. I cleaned her up, threw a new ribbon on her, and shipped her up there to her. So she collects typewriters. Fitting payment for the use of her apartment for a week, I think. Seemed like a fair trade to me. I'm not sure she was expecting payment of any kind, so, you know, being a typewriter collector, I'd like to think that it was something special and meant something to her. But you see, my whole purpose with these machines is to get them cleaned up as best I can and put them back in working order, get them back into service. You know, when I say restoration, it's not factory restoration where it's going to shine again and the paint's going to have fucking rust on it. I kind of like it that way, to be honest. To me, these machines gotta show their age and more than just their style. You can see I pretty much ruined brushes. But sacrifice, well worth it. Too much crap comes out of these things, man. songs coming up next on my playlist. Spent quite a bit of time on that playlist adding those songs. Because a lot of them were one-hit wonders, of course. But, you know, some of them, you need the whole album from Jane Addiction, or the whole album from Violent Femmes, or whatever. So, you know, I would do that, and find the album and be like, I gotta put all these fucking songs on this playlist. So of course, whenever you add them, it puts them at the bottom of the list, and then, I can't leave them all in a row like that. So I spent quite a bit of time shuffling them manually. So my playlist is a labor of love, man. And occasionally I'll remember a song, or I'll hear a song, because, Kelly's good for 80s songs. And be like, God damn, is that on my list? And most of the fucking time I'll go to add it and I'll be like, this song's already on your list, would you like to add it anyway? So, that's like a sense of accomplishment on my part. There's just so many goddamn songs on there that I can't remember them all exactly what order they're in. But occasionally, like recently, people are like, hey, you need Dead Milkman, Punk Rock Girl. I was like, what? Oh, fuck, that's not on my list. So, I do appreciate some of you for your suggestions, and ones that I didn't think about or forgot about. Because, like I said, I went through most of it, made most of it from memory. And some of them I would remember parts of the song, but not the name of the song or the artist. So, I'd have to Google search parts of the lyrics that I remembered. So, I'd say the list is not exactly mine. It's been a collaboration between myself and AI and family members and friends and followers and connections. Co-workers are like, man, I was disappointed by the lack of funk on your list. I was like, well, let me fix that. But I got another similar list from the 90s going. It was primarily because I grew up in the 80s and the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But I was in high school in the end of the 80s and the beginning of the 90s. So I was really a kid, mostly during the 80s, 70s, and 80s. And I was 18 in 92. So those songs just really stuck with me over the years, a lot of them. I had to put a lot of the ones that were 80s songs, not 80s song, 90s rejects on the 90s list. And I've really been kicking around the idea lately of making a 70s list. But, I was born in 74, so I don't have a whole lot of memory of a lot of this music in the 70s. Just because, I was a little kid. My parents had their own tastes. My dad was in the Beach Boys, because he was from SoCal. And my mom was a huge fucking Beatles fan, which, I appreciate, because the Beatles were like the ultimate fucking musicians on the planet. So, I feel like I got a good education there with their music and what real music is. Not to say that the Beach Boys didn't have some good songs, but certainly not on the scale the Beatles did. So my 70s list will probably be quite a bit shorter than my 90s, which is quite a bit shorter than my 80s. Alcohol's really good at getting in these typeface here, especially with such a stiff bristle. I'll use a dental pick sometimes when it's really bad. But it makes a much better impression if you clean the typeface. When I first started this, I didn't recognize that. So the first few typewriters that I'd restored and sent out the door had gunky typeface, and I'm kind of ashamed of that. But, you know, I never took any course on typewriter restoration or read any books or any of that shit. I didn't even watch any YouTube videos. Just started at it. Part of that's fucking pride, and part of that's just, you know, that's just how I've always operated throughout my life. I mean, we didn't have the internet when I was little. I tore everything I can get my hands on apart, which pissed my fucking parents off. I think I was 12 or so before I figured out how to put stuff back together, any complicated shit at least. Sometimes I just try to do things and it doesn't work out the way I want it to, and I get real frustrated. Hey, Mike, you know, we've been noticing you've been having a lot of problems lately, you know? Crazy. Institutional. 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 Mike. What's the matter with you? You're on drugs. Oh, well, I'm not on drugs. I'm okay. I'm just thinking, you know. I'm on drugs. Just give me a Pepsi, please. What I wanted was a Pepsi. Mike, we need to talk to you. I'm afraid you're gonna hurt yourself. Wait, what are you talking about? We decided my best interest? How do you know what my best interest is? When I went to your school, interest is. See, I'm crazy. When I went to your schools, I went to your churches, to your institutional learning facilities. Doesn't matter, I'll probably get hit by a car anyway. That looks much better. In fact, every typewriter has its own fingerprint. Maybe mass-produced, but they all still act and type differently. You know, the portables with the black keys remind me of the Enigma machine. That's what turned me on to those. The Royals portables to begin with. But you can see the round key's been around for a long time. And not all of them were black, as in this case. I'm quite sure that these were shiny white when they were all new, 100 years ago. But, I wouldn't dream of changing them. Because there's quite a bit of character. I have thought about replacing a lot of the shift keys with my, I need to either make a logo or my name. Because that was pretty common for companies that sold and serviced typewriters to put a custom advertisement of theirs in the shift key. As much as I hate capitalism and advertising, I kind of dream of it, putting my own mark on it. But I put my marks in them in different ways. You'll see when I get probably the next video, video 3, when we go to put her back together in Euler. Four zero 578. Nine 3 9 1 1 6. Try to be careful when I'm cleaning around the badges with alcohol. Damaged badging. Looks like she had coat wax on her. Sometimes I wax customer machines, but I don't really care for mine to be waxed. Out the ShamWow and wax, polish this wax. This one's not quite doing the job right. Biff to put that third coat of wax on when you need him. They wax you, girl. Some old motherfucking wax. You're something special and you look like you're the best. Forced to wax her. I've seen it on TV. Your birthday, oh pretty baby. I think I saw that the ShamWow guy was running for office somewhere recently. I'm like, didn't he beat up a hooker or something? Or some kind of violent act on his part. But I guess in this day and age, you know, if you're a politician, it don't matter what you did. Isn't that a lovely sound? like that sound, don't you? Stupid wax. Getting another coat, really. Well, I guess my next video is going to be me replacing these rollers, giving her some oil and reassembling her, and then applying a couple of coats of wax. This homegirl is looking a lot better than she did, and certainly operating better than when I first got her. So, y'all.